Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Visionary Introverted Woman Show. As you well know, I've been running a series known as the Abundance Experience. I had a bit of a glitch and stopped a little bit because we were supposed to completely run the full experience through the course of June and July. However, things happened, life got complicated, and it's moved on to August. It's all good because the topic we're going to be talking about today is going to be relevant for you in this season. So far, with this abundance experience, we have covered the different elements of the word abundance. So we started off with A for attract, B for belief, U for understand, N for nurture, D for develop deserving, and A for agility, N to normalize. And then we talked about crescendo. If you haven't watched any of the videos, they are all on my YouTube channel and you can get that. But today we are going on the final letter, which is the letter E, and it is for expansion. And today, talking about expansion, I felt that it was appropriate to talk about expansion and include other people as well. So today, for this final part, we're leaning into that word expansion by bringing in a guest. So, but before I do all of that, some of you might be new to this show and have never heard of me before, and you are clicking on this for the first time. So let me take the time to introduce myself. My name is Patience Ogumbono. I'm a business and leadership coach, and I am the founder of the Visionary Introverted Woman, in the Visionary Introverted Woman brand, which is also the title of this show. So, as you guessed it, I'm an introvert, I'm visionary, I'm multi passionate, I'm a leader, I'm an entrepreneur, and I love having rich conversations. And this show is all about ensuring that I bring you talks and topics that will help you leverage your introvert strengths and give you actionable strategies so that you can develop success in life and you can thrive. Basically, I bring you the inspiration that helps you create impactful presence and build your positioning in the marketplace so that you can stand out as an authority and you can create the profit and the life that you desire. If you have any questions or any topics you want me to cover from my perspective, then please feel free to connect with me and share that information with me. So today, like I said, I have a very special guest. And it's been a while since this show has had a special guest. So I'm really excited about this. Before I bring her on, I want to tell you a little bit about her. So her name is Tola Ayeni, and she is a leadership and financial coach. She is certified with the Maxwell Leadership Team as a coach, speaker, and trainer. And in her day job, she's a mortgage and financial advisor. She's also a chartered accountant, something that we have in common. And guess what? She's an entrepreneur, you know, and she's a member of the Institute of Enterprise and Entrepreneurship UK, Institute of Money Advisors UK, and Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She's very active in her community and she's a champion of community initiatives, especially she's had influence in the Peterborough Council and in her local church as well. That's not all. She's had time to speak internationally and organize workshops all across the world. Just my own kind of person. And we're going to find out a lot more from her. But without further ado, I would want to bring her on and introduce and let her introduce herself. So, welcome, Tola. It's so exciting to have you join me today. Oh, you are muted.
Thank you very much, Patience. That always happens, isn't it? Thank you for the lovely introduction. Yeah, as you said, my background is in accounting and financial services, and I've kind of grown to be a coach because I love to help and assist people. So even as part of my job, I coach people, I train, and all that. And then I found out that there was really a gap in terms of giving advice and actually for people to know what to do at every step. A lot of financial services is just about products, it's about selling, but
Mm.
people need a bit more support and guidance. And then I started to do financial coaching, and that has been so rewarding, empowering people to take charge of their circumstances. It's something that I love. I believe in transformation. I believe in people overcoming their limiting beliefs, because all of
Mm.
us do have these limiting beliefs. It's from our environment, it's from the way we were brought up, it's from different circumstances that have happened to us, but we can overcome those. So that's me in a nutshell, and I'm excited to be part of your show. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm excited to have you on board. Not just that, let's just humanize introductions, because many times when we talk about introducing ourselves, we talk a lot about, the professional element. And I like to also look at the other parts of that of who we are. So you live in the UK, in Cambridgeshire, you have a family. What are some of the things that you would say are interesting about you, like hobbies and things that you do in your spare time?
I like singing. I like dancing. I do a lot of reading, and I enjoy being around people generally. So whether it's for a party or to just go for a picnic or by the beach, I love being around. Genuinely, I'm a people person.
That's an interesting thing to say, because it brings me on to also ask you, if you were to describe yourself, would you say that you are introverted or extroverted then?
I like to say I'm an introverted extrovert. So generally, the way I describe myself is I'm reserved. So if I'm in a new place, a new job, a new environment, I can be as quiet as a mouse, and I'm taking it all in. I observe. I'm a critical thinker, that kind of thing. But once I warm up to people, it's like you can't keep me down again. I become a bit more talkative and all that. So
Hmm.
yeah, I wouldn't consider myself to be an introvert. Let's just put it that way, because I know that I have a really vibrant and large personality. But at the initial stages, some people have mistaken my quietness for being an introvert or being shy. But there you go.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And it's interesting you say that, because introverts, people see me and go, you cannot be introverted, because I'm vibrant and I can be very talkative, especially if I know a lot about the subject and I'm passionate about it. And again, I'm a people person. So it's interesting. Even introverts don't want to own that word because of the way it's been defined. However, when you say you are reserved, that's a type of introvert. And the truth about it is, being reserved, nothing wrong with it. And loving people is part of what introverts do. However, the overstimulation makes us want to step aside. And there's some classic things like you stop and you observe and you look at your environment, you offer your two pence when you have done that observation. There's a difference with extroverts. What happens is they don't want to do that. They just want to engage, be the life and soul of the party. That's the difference. So I would say that sometimes we adapt because of the life that we end up living and the
Yeah.
environments, and we just sit in the middle, which makes us ambivert. So I would class myself, for example, because of that, as an ambivert, and say that I'm a chameleon. I can change color when I need to change color, which I suspect is what you're saying about yourself.
In a
So
sense.
today we are diving into the topic of expansion. And that's what we want to dive into, to talk about when it comes to abundance, and helping people look at it from our perspective, or some of the tips we can share about abundance. So before I ask you the questions around that, I just wanted to share with the audience, as I always do on the show. I kind of provide my perspective and definition of what abundance, of what expansion is. And so the first thing I would say is that for me, expansion means to enlarge my coast and my territory. It's like, if you look at it from that spiritual point of view, where Jabez. The prayer of Jabez in the Bible is something I love very much. And one statement he said was, "Expand my coast and my territory." I love that phrase and that prayer that he prayed. Another way I look at expansion is that it's to be fruitful and to multiply my efforts. So, because I work with women, and my prayer and my desire for each woman I work with is that at least she will impact at least a minimum of 20 other women. That for me is the multiplication. That for me is the fruitfulness. So when I talk about expansion as well, my purpose statement is always to say to living my life and to leave a legacy of wealth for future generations and to help other women to do the same. I believe that that's the definition of expansion. And finally, for me, another definition I give for expansion is to model courageous leadership and help other women to do the same, especially introverted women, which is my area of focus and the area of focus for my brand. So, for you, haven't shared my view and what that means. For you, what does living abundantly and creating expansion mean to you?
Thank you very much for that. I like your definitions. Living abundantly, I think it's an all encompassing thing. Sometimes when we think about the word abundance, we think about finances, we think about money, we think about wealth, we think about assets. But I think it's a lot more than that, even though I'm the financial person. It's about our lifestyle, our choices, it's about our health. I had more or less like a wake up call last year. Um, Very good in terms of my health, but I was having a severe back issue. And when it came down to it, I realized that I needed to lose some weight. Now, I have all these gifts, all this talent, all this ability to teach people and speak and all of that. If my health is failing, then I would not be able to do any of those things. Even if I have money in the bank, I would not be able to keep track of what is going on if my health is not where it's supposed to be. So I made a lifestyle decision that I needed to lose weight, and I'm still on that journey. But in the meantime, I've lost 3 stones in weight, and it
Oh.
made a huge difference to my life. So, abundance is about the whole of our life, our health, our relationships, our career, our finances. We have to have a holistic attitude to that,
Mm,
because one area affects the other, and each of them have to work in sync together for us to be able to say we're living a life of abundance, and therefore we can expand.
mm,
Expansion follows through from the abundance that we have, because it's the abundance that we have that will then spill over to other people around us. We can talk about it, we can show it. And there's a difference between talking about something and actually showing it. People can see from your life. For
mm,
instance, if I go back to the weight loss example again, a lot of people have seen my pictures and they have said, "Oh, wow, Tola, you look different. You've lost so much weight." They can see it. I don't even need to preach a sermon about that. They can see the difference. And people are now asking me, "What did you do to be able to lose this amount of weight?" So when it comes to expansion, you need to be able to show it, you need to be able to talk about it, you need to be able to demonstrate it and model what this abundant life looks like for you to then expand to other people. I like the fact that Patience said it's about each woman having an impact on 20 other people. And you
mm,
might think that, oh, that's a large number. You think about it. Think about your siblings. Think about the members of your family. Think about your children. Think about the people that you work with. Think
mm,
about the people you're in church with or in a social gathering with. You have more than 20 people that you can influence. And each and every one of us are influencers. Forget about the fact that social media has hijacked that term. We're influencers because people see you and they want to copy what you're doing.
mm.
They see a dress on you and they're like, "Oh, I like that. Who made it for you?" You're an influencer. You are
Yes.
definitely an influencer. So, in a
Mm.
nutshell, that's what abundance and expansion means to me.
I love that. I love it a lot, especially first and foremost. Congratulations for that. I know what it means to lose three stone. I've been on that journey myself. And
Thank you.
sometimes it looks like it's kind of the vain element. But when you begin to see that your body is actually demanding more of you so that it can achieve that abundance and that expansion,
Yeah.
you ask yourself, what do I need to do to give my body that support to achieve that? So, and it's great that you're doing that, but you highlighted something key there, which is the fact that once you begin to model the life of abundance or the life that you want to live and the transformation that you have gone on, people will just automatically want to know, what have you done? You then have an opportunity to expand as a result, expand the results you already have. So it's your results, but now they are seeds that you are spreading everywhere
Yeah.
and planting into other people's lives. And when they hear that, many people are inspired and they go ahead and, do something about it. For example, yes, I've been on that same journey as yourself, but I saw a lady in her 50s, just like myself, who is stepping into that space. And I saw that she was actually doing a lot of bodybuilding and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, that's so inspiring. Not because just from the physical point of view, but she exuded so much strength, so much discipline, and a lot of kind of like telling herself that this is what I really want to achieve. And from the perspective of somebody who is over 50, that you're menopausal and all that stuff, you begin to think about how you can build strength and what happens during the menopause. And really, really, they say to many women, build that strength. And I saw her and I thought, this is so inspiring. I'll start following her. She didn't class herself as an influencer, but I'll start following her, her messages, what she's saying. Because what that does, what that picture shows, is a picture of what is possible. Therefore, she has already expanded that for somebody like me that she doesn't even know me from a very distant place. So you're right in what you're saying, and is such a great example. But what I like to do is when I also bring people on the show, there is your genius zone, and you've talked about it a lot, that people don't know enough about how to address the financial situations they find themselves. And really, you have created expansion in many ways with many people. So when it comes to that element of finance, and I have said it before, uh, I read accounting as well. I don't do the financial stuff anymore because, as you well know, with the accounting stuff, if you don't keep up with it, you're not allowed to offer that financial advice. You actually have to label yourself as a financial advisor and keep up with all the things that financial advisors do to do it. Um, so we're in a good place for you to share with us some of your expertise, because whether we like it or not, and whether expansion is about all the other things, it's also recognizing that once you don't have the wherewithal, or you don't manage the wherewithal properly, it will limit your capability to expand. It will limit your capability to do all those other things. Unfortunately, there are two types of currency: the money and love. And those two, not having them, can limit your capabilities in the world, right? So when it comes to expansion and generating more income, which is where I'm going in terms of your expertise, income and wealth, what are some of the steps that people need to take to expand that element of their life, the wealth, the income? What are some of the steps that you feel that people need to take?
Thank you very much for that question. And I'm going to say it's simple, and it's as simple as ABC. A is awareness. B is being consistent, being intentional, and C is consistency. So awareness. You see, if we want to go on a journey, we need to know where we are first of all before we can get directions to where we're going. So that awareness talks about, where am I at the moment as far as my finances are concerned? Now, we may all be in different situations. So someone may be in a situation where you are in debt. Today, I was listening to the CEO of the Maxwell Leadership Team, Mark Cole, and I'd never heard him say this before. At the age of 30, he was bankrupt, he was divorced, And he mentioned so many other things. And I was like, wow. And he has managed to achieve so much more. So even if you are in debt, there are solutions. I think the first step is to record every debt that you own. Because one of the things that we tend to do when we're in debt is to bury our heads under the sand and not want to
Mm.
take responsibility. Some letters remain unopened because we don't want to read those things in, whether it's in bold letters or in red letters, that says that you are owing. Open them up, write them all down one by one, put the interest rates beside it. What is the liability that you've got, and how
Mm.
can you begin to deal with this debt? Talk to the providers and say, I want to set up a payment plan. If it's something that you cannot deal with, there are debt counselors in every jurisdiction. They call them debt counselors in the US and in Canada. In the UK here, we call them money advisors. If you contact Citizens Advice Bureau, if you contact Community Money Advice, this is what they do. By the way, it's a free service. So
Mm.
don't hold back, ask for help, get it done. You may be in a situation where you're at the start of your career and you're like, oh, I'm not earning enough money. What am I going to do? I can hardly save and all that. That is the reality. That's why we're talking about awareness. If you need a better level of income, what can I do that will give me the desired income that I want? Look into it. There are courses that you can take for free. I know for a fact that the Skills Council in UK is offering project management training for free, digital marketing training for free, 12 weeks, some things like that. Do them in your in your spare time. Improve your skills, improve yourself so that you can earn more.
Mm.
Now, you may be at the kind of middle stage of your career. You've been working for several years, and then you look at your balances. I don't have anything to show for it. You need to make yourself accountable. How can I save? How can I be more accountable? In this country, we get what is known as a P60 after every tax year. And sometimes it's a shocker to actually see how much has actually passed through your hands, and you cannot account for those monies. So you need to go through that and say, what have I done with it? I had
Mm.
this conversation with my teenage daughter once. She got her P60 and she was sad because she had been paid so much money and she didn't realize it because she had just been spending like it was going
Mm.
out of fashion. So we need to then call ourselves to order and say, all those things that we're spending, designer wears, or we're buying the most expensive things, we're expending the money and it's going down the drain. I always say to my daughter, you are enriching the providers of those things. It's
Mm.
not, it might be a good, feel good, factor that, oh, wow, I've got this nice top and this and that. How long does that feeling last? But
Yeah.
guess what? The person that you bought it from, go and look at their accounts on Companies House and see the profit that they're declaring year on year. So basically, you are enriching them. Now, the reality is that it's not that we're not earning enough, it's that we're spending everything that we earn.
Mm.
I'll let that sink in for a moment. It's not that we're not earning enough, it's that we're spending everything that we earn. We need to allocate. 10% goes to God, 10% goes to my saving, 10% goes to investment. It's called paying myself first. Everything you spend, including your rent, your mortgage, and all that, you're paying someone else. But whatever
Mm.
you save, whatever you invest, you're actually paying yourself first. Take that up. Some people will say, oh, but the money itself is not enough. It's never going to be enough.
Mm.
Let me break it to you gently. It's never going to be enough. But what about your future? What happens when you come to retirement? What happens when maybe you're sick or unable to work as you used to before? When you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, some of us
Mm.
don't like to think about that as we're nearing retirement, but we need to, and we need to make adequate plan. So I've talked a lot about awareness. Then you have to be intentional. What do you want to achieve? What's your
Mm.
goal? If your goal is to enrich other people, then go ahead and continue doing exactly what you've been doing. But if
Mm.
your goal is that I want to leave a legacy for my children, and the good book says the righteous man leaves a legacy for their children's children, how many of us have actually thought that far? Then we got to be intentional. Intentional about your savings, intentional about your investment. And look, I'm not standing in judgment over anyone. I have
Mm.
done things that I've regretted. I've lost money in an attempt to do certain things. So I know. And this is why that accountability is important. You need to have a financial coach, if I say so myself. You need to have somebody who holds you accountable, somebody who can task you to say, this is where you told me you want to get to. This is your goal. Therefore, these are the things that you need to do to be able to get there. So we have to be intentional.
Mm.
And lastly, consistency trumps everything. A friend
Mm.
of mine used to say, consistency compounds. There used to be one thing going on social media at one point, that if you put 1 penny into an account and it doubled every single day, how much would you get at the end of the month or at the end of the year? For those of you who are very savvy with spreadsheets, try it out and you will be surprised
Mm.
how much that would yield. So when we talk about multiplication, if you multiply 0 by 100, no, let's start with 1. By 1, it's still 0. By 10, it's still 0. By 100, it's still 0. By 1,000, it's still 0. But if you multiply 1 by 1, it's 1. By 10, 10. By 1,000, we're talking in the thousands now. Now think about it. If it's not £1, if it's not £1, if it's not $1, if it's like 10, if it's like 100, if it's like 1,000, and some of
Mm.
us can actually afford to save 1,000 in naira, in pounds, in dollars. Think about the multiplier effect. And then
Mm.
there are other things that we can do. Investing in property is one. Investing in stocks and trades. I'm not going to talk about any risky form of investment. Anything that you don't understand, don't put your money to it. And I have been burnt. So I can say that categorically. Anything that you don't understand, please, please, please do not, I repeat, do not put your money in it. So there are
Mm.
all kinds of investments that we can do, but it's ABC: awareness, be intentional, and be consistent.
Mm.
That is how results come about. The so-called people who are rich, who are wealthy, they are consistently consistent. Let's
Mm.
learn from them.
I love that. I love the way that you finalized it. Interesting. Interesting thing. One of the things Steve Covey talks about, the writer of Seven Habits of Highly Effective
Yeah.
People, he always says, begin with the end in mind. And so that understanding of, where do I want to be in
Mm,
5 years, in 6 months, and where am I now? That awareness that you've talked about, those two key questions. So, where am I now gives you your reality. Then, obviously, you are then saying that's the awareness that people need to have. Where am I now? And if you don't have enough information to decipher where you are and where you want to be, there's help out there. And the help out there is free. In fact, if you don't even want to go out of your house, you can sit on Google and continue to enter different different types of search information to find the answers. And you mentioned your daughter as well, which I like, because the thing is, the younger generation who are blessed to have parents who have been burnt and therefore put financial information as part of what will create that expansion. Because when we talk about expansion, we're talking about legacy. So for my kids, when they were born, I was the kind of person who did that savings. I never spent my whole money. So when you were talking of the equation, you have the 70-30 rule, which is the 70% you do all the things that need to do, pay your mortgage. Then the 30, you divide into 10-10-10, right? 10% goes to your savings, 10% goes to your giving, whichever place you give, and then the 10% goes to investment. And interestingly, when I was doing that for the kids, my child came out and I said, "Oh, there you go. There's cash from your account. Go buy a car." When it was time to buy a car, there was no need to go get a loan. And I then said to him, "This is to teach you that compound interest, that compounding effect. I only saved very, very little amount from the day you were born. And today you are the owner." And when he was turned 18, the company said, "Oh, you don't have to save for him anymore." I said, "Okay, there you go. You look after it." When he started work, I said, "Mommy, stop paying. Do you want to keep paying?" But because he saw the benefit of having cash in hand and
Yeah.
doing things without debt, he took over and he's never stopped paying. He's 25 now. So, what you talk about when you say being intentional, awareness, and really consistency, I can resonate and relate with that. And what has it done for me? I didn't have to. I remember when I was working in the corporate space, and I would hear people say, "Oh, I've just had to go get some money to buy my son a car and all that stuff." I would always keep my fingers crossed and be, please, when I get to that stage, I don't want to start looking for money. And I didn't. And the same thing with his sister. I didn't either. So basically, at that time, being afraid of that, but knowing that you have the right habits, you are expanding and you are not going to be depleted at the end. So I think ABC is so easy to understand. A for awareness, B for be consistent, be
Be intentional.
intentional, and not just intentional, apply action, intentionality. And then intentionality is the action. Intention is the, oh, okay, I want to do this. But the intentionality is taking that action, and you've listed so many actions for those who go back and watch this to really inform themselves.
Mhm.
And then you've talked about consistency and that I like the word multiplier effect, because that also, you can say expansion effect if you wanted, because it's the same thing, and you create abundance through that multiplier effect. So in terms of, people might be thinking, yes, there's all these free resources, but there's also help from people like yourself who are financial coaches, who, because sometimes if you want to shorten your learning curve, if you want to take the needle from the haystack, which is what sometimes happens with all the resources you have, you go for help for people like yourself and say, I don't want to do all that work. I don't want to do all that work. Just tell me my ABC and I will put it in place. So there you have it. If you want to get in touch with Tola, she's there to provide that help. But also, you on your journey, you must have had some favorite go-to resources that that you can recommend for entrepreneurs, for career people, on how they can continue to expand their wealth in different ways from a financial perspective. What are some of your favorite go-to resources that you can share with the audience?
Thank you. There are two that I would like to mention. I'm sure some people would have heard about Dave Ramsey. Some people like him a lot, some people like him, and some people not so much. But the principles that he teaches are quite good in terms of taking charge of one's finances. So I would recommend him for, they call them baby steps, how you can go from one step to the other. And a lot of people who follow him, they will tell you, oh, they're on baby step 1 or baby step 7, as the case may be. It talks about, and one of the reasons I like that, it's the intentionality, taking one step after the other. It's not something, when we talk about coaching, or when we talk about financial coaching to be specific, people think that it can happen in 1 week or 2 weeks. It probably will not. It's something that we have to learn and go through the process of it. Think about it. Some of us have been on earth for 50 odd years, and we've made mistakes in that time. To right that wrong, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going
Mm,
to take, but that's where the education and the enlightenment comes in. So Dave Ramsey is one I'll recommend. There's also a movement known as Financial Independence Retire Early. So the acronym is FIRE. They've
yeah.
got several groups, and meetups that happen. It's most of these things are usually US based. So if you can find a local group that will be more relevant to where you live and your own jurisdiction, it's quite useful. But to actually be in a group or in a meeting with people who have that kind of mindset, it helps. So you can learn a lot from them. It's a networking type of thing. Most of the meetings you can go to for free until you start talking about investment. Then you may need to do like a membership and all that. But as much of the free stuff as there is available, you can use. There are also resources that you can use. I know there are things like Snoop, which is an app that you can download, link your bank accounts to, and all that. And it will give you analysis of how you're actually spending your money. And I also like to make things simple. A simple spreadsheet can also be used. If you're good at spreadsheets, you can have one column for income, one column for expenses.
I
Most of
love a
us
spreadsheet.
knows I love spreadsheets. Oh gosh. I couldn't live my life or do my job without a
Me
spreadsheet.
too.
Most of us know what is coming in. If I ask people in my day job, what's your income? They know what the gross figure is. But ask them, how much are you spending on expenses? Most people cannot tell me with a certainty. But if you put it on a spreadsheet, rent, mortgage, gas, electricity, council tax, whatever expenses, telephone, this and that, and then you can identify where your money is going to. And when you've got it down in black and white like that, you can ask yourself the question, that cup of coffee that I take every morning, I think it's gone up to like £2 something now, every single morning, £2.40
Mm.
for every working day, multiply by 5. How much is
The
that a week?
multiplier effect.
Exactly. And ask yourself, can I really afford to be buying that cup of coffee every day? You know, why don't
Mm.
you get some instant coffee from Lidl or Aldi and get a travel jug, something like that, and take your coffee to work? That way
Yeah.
you'll be saving yourself hundreds of pounds, and you can put that to your savings. You can put
Mm.
that to your investment. You can put it to some other use. So a simple spreadsheet would also do. There are a lot of apps. There's this gentleman in the UK, money saving expert, and he talks about
Martin
everything.
Lawrence. Martin
Martin
Lawrence.
Lawrence,
Yes.
exactly. Everything that under the umbrella of money. If you want to do a bit of research, you can do it. But like Patience said, if you don't have the time or the inclination to do all of that research by yourself, that's where I come in. I am a financial coach. I'm qualified on one side. I'm also a coach on the other side. So I wear two hats and I
Mm.
bring these two together, and then I can talk to people about, so what are your dreams? So
Yes.
what are your aspirations?
Mm.
And what is holding you back? And then we can break it down. ABC. You have an awareness of where you are. You then decide, I'm going to be intentional,
Yeah.
and then consistently working at this. So I coach people on a regular basis, and that helps for people to feel empowered about their finances. Finance
Yeah.
is an area that people, when you talk about finances, they're like, oh, and maybe they don't understand it. A lot of people that you even think should be knowledgeable. I've worked with different people. There was an IT consultant that I arranged the mortgage for many years ago. He got a quote from somebody, and he was happy about the quote that he had got. And he was like, I got a good deal. And I'm like, let me take a look at it, just let me just take a look at, if I can do something better, I'll try. If not, fair enough. And he said, yeah, go ahead and take a look at it. But you could tell that he felt like you're not going to be able to better this one. I'm very sure of it. And I took it. And it turns out he was given a quote based on interest only. That means the capital would not be paid. He was only
Yeah.
going to be paying the interest for the life. No wonder the repayments were so low. And he thought,
Mm. That's a
fantastic
good
deal.
deal.
So when I turned around to him and I said, do you realize that that's an interesting, this is an intelligent guy by any means. He had worked in the
Yes.
banking sector. He was an IT consultant. His day rates will put my salary to shame. And I
Mm,
said, do you realize that that was an interest only day? He could not believe it. It was one of the biggest mortgages that I ever arranged. And I
mm,
think I earned that genuinely, you know. So there is no harm in saying that you don't know something because it's not your area of specialty. All of us have
indeed.
our own
Mm,
areas of specialty. It's like me being sick now and refusing to go to the doctor. That will be
exactly.
senseless. It will be crazy. I go
Yes.
to them and I rely on them.
Mm,
When I talked about my own issue with back pain, it was my doctor who recommended me to lose weight and told me exactly where to go. And I said to
exactly.
myself, I will do exactly what the doctor says. And I'm so glad I did it. So, in
Indeed.
your case, if you're having issues in terms of your finances or you need to have clarity about it, talk to me.
Indeed. And I like what you said about, so there are a couple of key points there. You have to work on the mindset around finance and looking at what you have, what you own, and whether it's depleting or expanding, and have that inclination or intentionality to say, I want it to expand. I want to expand it because I want my life to expand as well as a result of making this area work for me. So not being afraid of that. But then it's understanding whether you have the inclination to do it. I was having a conversation with my sister yesterday and she told me a couple of figures. She said, oh, they said it's 550 uh 550 naira and it's this amount. And I said, oh, 550 times 60. She said, well, I don't deal with those kind of things. She told me the total and I just multiplied it in my head. She said, you've always been like that anyway. That's your training. So I don't deal with that. And I said, I know. So I don't, it just comes naturally to me to go boom, 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 boom in my head and bring out the figures. Whereas I know that not everybody is like that. Not everybody is comfortable with that. So if you don't have the inclination, save yourself some time and don't think I will go through all the free stuff. It will take you 5 years with a lot of interest building on what you have. Go and, you know, save money, save time, give yourself earlier. They said, the Chinese proverb that said the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time is now, or 20 years ago was the best time to plant a tree. Next best time is now. So if you're adding more time just looking at the free stuff, then it's taking longer, isn't it? But if you want to look at it, you've offered some suggestions there, and if you want to create new habits, you've offered some suggestions there. I love Dave Ramsey a lot. And like you said, is that simplistic way of explaining it. The other person you mentioned for the UK, Martin Lawrence, is really great. Martin, Martin saved me money that you probably cannot hear. In the room I'm sitting in, I've got the air conditioning on. I used the savings to buy an air conditioning unit, a big one, and a treadmill. And that came out of just listening to Martin a couple of years ago when they were
Mm,
doing when they were making people pay, I think PPI or whatever
API,
they call it, PPI. And I listened to him, and
payment
guess what?
protection.
Yes, and I listened to him, and I realized that my first car, they had overcharged me. They had used scare tactics to make me pay more. And what they didn't realize, people like me as well, I've got good photographic memory. I can quote, um, and it was fortunate for me. I was working in an insurance company and all sorts of things. So I had good knowledge, but not all the time. Like you said, an IT consultant, there can be a limit to what you know. So listening to Martin Lawrence, I thought, wow. So I went on his website, I got the sheet that he recommended, and I filled it out using the information. And that gave me a solution with the company because they said, oh, we would listen to the call. And I thought, I don't have a problem with that because fortunately for me, I have such a good memory that I have written. And, they were in so much shock. I just got a check in the post for almost £3,000 or something like that. And that was big money. We're talking at least over 15 years ago. and it was useful, like I said, bought all those things. So educating oneself, bringing oneself up to speed, like you said. So some of those resources, your spreadsheet is your friend. Does it mean you won't make mistakes? Of course you will. So it's we've gained so much, from this conversation that you've had so far. And I want to recap that is ABC. ABC. Tola is telling you know your ABCs. Know your ABCs. Be aware, be intentional, and be consistent. So just to round off now, what are some of the wise words that you want to leave with the audience? And thank you so much. You have given so much value that would be, take time to watch it all over again. What are some of the wise words that you want to leave with the audience?
Generally speaking, when we talk about finances, people think about being in debt, losing money. But what I want people to take away from this is that our knowledge of finances, we can grow, we can cultivate it, we can
Mm,
multiply it, we can expand, we can extend it. Like you said
mm,
about mindset, if our mindset is negative, then the results we get will be negative as well. But if our mindset is positive, that of abundance, then the results we get will be positive as well. One simple example I want to share. I don't know how many people know about cashback cards or
mm,
cashback sites. I use a cashback site as a rule. Anytime I want to buy anything online, I search there first. It's only if they're not listed on my cashback site that I will ever buy directly. And over time, some sites you may get like 1p, honestly. But if you're traveling, or you buy a ticket or something like that, or you buy furniture and stuff like that, it just begins to add up and it begins to add up. I've used my cashback money to buy a whole new brand new phone.
mm,
This is expenses that I normally do from time to time to time, and the cashback is just building up. So we can grow it, we can increase in our knowledge, we can multiply, we can leave a legacy. As part of one of my financial independence retirement early groups, there was a young person, I think they were in their 20s, who shared a testimonial. And this is what I want to leave with. They were based in the US. They weren't doing, because most of the people in those fire groups, they are very savvy about investment. And this was a young person who was just doing maybe like a waitressing kind of job, but she wasn't spending frivolously. She was saving her money, saving her money. She had her goal, she had her dream. She bought like a cabin, like in the middle of nowhere. That was her dream. That's where she wanted to live. She bought it from her savings. 20 something year old that was doing a waitressing job. So like I said earlier on, it's not the amount of money that we earn, it's what
mm.
we do with it. She had been saving, and she bought a small car, and she retired. And I was like, whoa, I'm
Exactly.
in
What
my
else do you
50s,
need? Because she now has a mortgage-free life and
mortgage
a
free.
vehicle that is all hers that she could
She's
maintain.
living her dream. She wanted a
Yeah.
small cabin, and that's what she got. She's
Mm,
retired at 20 something, and I'm in my 50s and I'm scared of retiring. So I want to leave that with you.
mm,
No matter how much you're earning, you can still save.
yes.
Some of the things that we spend our money on, they're luxuries, they're not essentials.
Mm.
It's
And
not
even
essential.
luxuries, I believe that luxuries you can give yourselves by the meaning of it. If you overdo luxuries, when you don't have it, so luxuries can be the reward that you reward yourself, which
It
is
can be the
obviously
reward, and it's also about planning and being able to, there's a word I'm looking for now, delayed aggravation, delayed, it's not aggravation,
delayed gratification.
delayed gratification. Thank you very much. So there's nobody that doesn't like having a car, a house, a yacht,
A
and
good holiday.
holidays.
That's
But
my own.
if you do all of that now and you just every year holiday and this and that, and you have no savings, no investment, nothing, then you will end up being poor later on. But
Yes.
if you save now, if you deny yourself some of those things now because you have a goal in mind, then you delay that gratification,
Gratification.
and
Mm.
then you can enjoy it later in life. Now
Mm.
when you're retired, retirement age now is about 67 in the UK. You know, for some of us, we're knocking on that age very soon.
Mm.
When that time comes, how do you want your lifestyle to be? Are
Mm.
you going to be able to afford all of these things that you've been doing now? Why
Mm.
don't you plan for that? So bottom line is that we can learn, we can
Yeah.
grow, we can
Mm.
multiply, we can live in abundance no
Yeah.
matter how much we're earning. Thank you.
That is very, very wise words, and making sure that you spend, when you spend something for something, something for something, each £1, where is it leading to? So when I say to people, oh, I watch movies for free, they'll be like, for free? How? I'll be like, well, Tesco vouchers. I don't shop in Tesco's without getting rewards. I don't shop, most places I shop, I need a reward. I have to. So I like that principle. Always get a reward because it's being offered to you, and it's being offered to you for being loyal, for spending your money. Even if it's in your bank, what does your bank give you as a reward, for being loyal? All the loyalty points that you could gather, and some of this information, like you said, with the younger people, they know where to go get it. My daughter operates that principle of something for something. And basically, she also knows how to keep what she's bought. She'll buy something for 10p and sell it for £10. She's is that she's that, savvy. Does she always do delayed gratification? I'm not sure. She gratifies herself very well when she needs to, back of mommy and daddy when she needs to. But the key thing there is she's never had to actually say, I need extra. That is when you know that somebody, she's never called home and say, I'm stuck, give me more. Which is one way that you should look at it as an adult is, if you're always thinking, I'm running out and things are going pear-shaped, then you're not practicing the art of delayed gratification. So are we trying to present ourselves as the perfect picture of perfection when it comes to expansion of wealth? No, but we're just sharing some of the things we have learned, some
Yeah.
of the ways that you can create abundance in your life. Business, for example, is a journey. And with business, you will encounter a lot of challenges to get your financial education, the finances in the right way, and deal with that in the right way. You've got to learn it. You have no choice. So we want to thank Tola for, all that she's shared today. Lots of nuggets, lots of information. And I know that at the end of this, within the comments, you can have access to information, more information about connecting with her. Feel free to connect. I'm staying connected anyway because I think iron sharpens iron. And I know that she's giving us a lot of value. So thank you very much, Tola, for being here today. So
Thank you very much.
before we round off, before we come to the end of it, I just wanted to share something that I put in my office a lot, and it reminds me about expansion. And perhaps it's part of the catalyst that has led me to add this as a topic. And again, both of us are Maxwell Leadership Team coaches. We have that camaraderie, we have that DNA. And one of the things that he says is life expands and shrinks in proportion to our courage. So, in all these things that you've heard today, expansion requires courage, courageously leading your life to do the things that you need to do for today to be good. Uh, and tomorrow to be even better because of the way you've lived today. So, are you courageous enough to expand and increase the flow of abundance in your life? So, that's the question I want to leave you with. I want you to ponder on it, and I want you to go back and watch this video, take some notes, start taking actions today. But also, as I have mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are it's a full series on the abundance journey. And it's a journey. So if you walk it through, you get that experience from A to B to U to N, D, A, N, and C, E. You can get all of that by subscribing to my YouTube channel, because there are going to be more guests coming on board to share a different perspective to expansion. So we've looked at wealth, we've looked at finance, we've even talked a little bit about health because, and health in relation to women. So, as introverts as well, I want to just say to you, don't overthink any of these things. Sometimes just rip the band-aid off, take action, and as you take action, learn from your mistakes and move on. Overthinking just keeps you stuck. So make sure you subscribe so that you can get more information. But in the meantime, take care and God bless. Thank you very much for watching.